Hey new bodies, back with episode number 26, and I am holding a container of Nature's Way Alive Vitamin C, or at least the container for Nature's Way Alive Vitamin C. What's inside of it is totally different, and it's what we're going to be talking about today. So this is number 3 in our cooking series, Cooking for Life. The reason why we've done 3 of these back to back, and I'll probably be doing some more in the near future, is because people are asking for it. So people want to hear how can they eat more healthily but still enjoy eating. So like the flavor of things, enjoy actually eating it, have a little bit of fun cooking, and that's what this series is all about. So let me open this up. What we're going to be talking about today is what's in here. I'll show that to you. You can see it. It looks kind of gloopy and slimy. It's actually pudding. And it's not just any pudding. You might think pudding's not healthy. This pudding is super healthy. You can eat it anytime, not just for dessert. Just kind of cool, waking up and having pudding with your breakfast. This pudding is made from chia seeds. Chia seeds are something that might be getting a lot of attention. You might notice them getting a lot of attention. They're referred to as an Aztec superfood, so it's kind of a buzzword that's out there, the idea of superfoods. But chia seeds are a superfood. They're essentially a seed that is very high in fiber, in protein, and omega-3 fatty acids, and they have this really cool quality about them where when you put them in a liquid, they absorb that liquid and sort of surround the seed itself with this like jelly. So they kind of like pull in that hydration, and as you eat them, it's another way to get hydration into your body, as well as that fiber and protein and omega-3 fatty acids, which are all great for you. So if you've read the book Born to Run, which is on my must-read list, so if you follow this podcast, I know that you've seen that, so please do pick it up. They mention chia seeds quite a bit. It's something that the Tarahumara in Mexico use as a source of energy when they go on their long runs and just generally in their everyday life. So it's something that's been used by Central American, South American tribes going back through the centuries, really, Aztecs, Mayans, the Incans, as a source of fuel, energy, and it helped them on these really epic long runs that they would do. So it's also something that you can use if you're an athlete, a runner, doing something endurance like a long bike ride, where you can actually throw some chia seeds together with a liquid, water, juice, what have you, and eat that before you go on the event. And it's a way to help bring that energy, protein, and the fats and the hydration into your body for the event. And it will release more slowly than if you took in like a gel or a sports drink. So chia seeds are really, really healthy. They're really useful for a variety of different things, and they make for a really cool base for making pudding. So we're going to talk about vanilla pudding today. That's what's in this container. You can very easily make chocolate pudding, and I will talk about the ways that you would change a recipe to do that. But we're going to be using a product from Navitas Naturals. We're going to use their organic chia seeds. Navitas is a great company that has a lot of organic products. You can find them in most Whole Foods. You can find them on Amazon. If you go to newbodies/chia, that will take you through to the Amazon link where you can get Navitas chia seeds. They also make raw cacao powder, which is another one of the key ingredients if you're going to do the chocolate version of this recipe. So keep that in mind as I start to talk about making the chocolate version. So making this is super simple. It's no bake, which means great for kids. And there's a couple of things you can do differently in this that, if you have the equipment, great. If you don't, totally fine. You can get by without it. Now I use this cup. It's 120 grams of powder, which is not relevant here, but it's sort of like roughly a cup of liquid, maybe a little bit less. Makes for a pretty good container to make a single serving, or maybe just over a single serving. Obviously, if you want to make it for more people, you can make more of that, but I found this to be really useful. So my wife uses this vitamin C, so when she's done, I grab these containers and I make my pudding in them. So to make the pudding, how much of all these ingredients is really going to depend on how much pudding you want to make, so that's up to you. So I'm going to be a little bit vague in the amounts. It's okay to experiment. It's okay to add more or keep adding liquid as you go through the process, and I'll explain that better as we get into it. But basically, you want to do about a 1-to-3 ratio, and depending on the humidity in your house, depending on where you have your refrigerator set and what other liquids or dry goods might be in your fridge, that could all vary. But roughly, it's about 1/3 chia seeds and 2/3 liquid. So for me, it's about filling the chia seeds up to about there, and then going up to the top with liquid. And I found that actually for this batch, that wasn't enough liquid. In the past, it has been. So for whatever reason, whatever the humidity settings are in my house, or the humidity in the house is, that hasn't worked as well. So I've had to add some liquid after the fact. So we will get to that. But basically, you start off with your chia seeds. So as I said, you got about a third or a quarter of the way up to this container, or whatever your container is going to be, full of chia seeds. Now, I like to crush my chia seeds and grind them in a coffee grinder. If you have a mortar and pestle, you can grind them up in there. You don't have to grind them at all. I just found that it creates a slightly smoother texture to the pudding, but it's not totally necessary. So here's one of those points where if you have the equipment, great, give it a try. If not, don't worry about it. But I grind them up and then just stick them in this container. Next, I'm going to fill the rest of the container with one of two things, either unsweetened, unflavored coconut milk or unsweetened, unflavored almond milk. And the almond milk is, right now for me, I think that's a better option. There's an ingredient that I'm trying to avoid. Aside from trying to avoid sugar, which is why I say unsweetened and unflavored, but I find that a lot of the non-dairy milk products that are out there, usually in Tetra Paks, contain something called carrageenan, which is known to be a carcinogen, so I am trying to avoid that. Most coconut milks do contain carrageenan. I found an organic almond milk, the 365 unsweetened, unflavored brand that Whole Foods sells, happens to be carrageenan free. Most of the others out there for almond milk do have carrageenan. So if you're concerned about something like that, look at the ingredients, pick your milk accordingly. If you don't mind dairy, you can certainly use regular milk in it, but coconut milk's a nice touch. The almond milk also adds something really nice to this, so I recommend almond or coconut milk. Try to find one without carrageenan. So you're going to fill up the container the rest of the way with that. Stir it around a bit. Next, you're going to take about a tablespoon of vanilla extract. And if you really like the flavor of vanilla, you can use a little bit more. If you obviously have a bigger container, you'll need to use more. But if you're not crazy about vanilla, you can use less. And here's where you can make that difference for chocolate versions. So if you were going to make the chocolate version, you would put in a little bit less chia and a little bit less liquid, and you would add some cacao powder, some raw cacao powder. And if you go to newbody/cacao, you'll be taken right to the Amazon link for the Navitas cacao powder, so you can pick some up. Cacao is basically the cocoa bean crushed up usually, and turned into a powder in this case. And it's totally unsweetened, it's unprocessed, it has a lot of really great antioxidants, and it's just a really good thing for you. However, it's extremely bitter. So you're going to put in the cacao. The next thing you're going to do is add stevia. And the nicest way to add stevia in this is in liquid form. You can buy liquid stevia. It doesn't really matter what brand you get. You can also do the powdered stevia. I usually use the liquid for this stuff, and it comes in an eyedropper, and I'll typically use one eyedropper, or about 3/4 of the way full of an eyedropper in this container. If you're making more, obviously add more. When I make the chocolate version, I'll actually double up on the stevia just to help offset the bitterness of the cacao. A little trick, if you are making the chocolate one, throw in one little dash of cayenne pepper. You're probably not going to taste it, but cayenne and chocolate have a really nice interplay, and cayenne's really good for you. So it's a little trick if you like things being a little bit hot, or if you happen to have had chocolate with cayenne in it and really like that, throw a little bit more in. Just test it out. You can always add more later. You can't take it away once you put it in. So adding in the sweetener, put the top on, shake it like crazy, stick it in the fridge. That's basically it. It's probably done. Now with this batch, I found that it was a little bit thicker than I wanted it to be, and than it typically should be. So all you have to do is, you'll notice that the chia seeds basically end up filling the whole container. So when you put them in before, you just see like the white milk, and maybe if you have the cacao, it'll be brown. But you won't really be able to see the chia seeds unless you stir it. When you open that package up, or the container up, after about an hour of sitting in the fridge, you can leave it for longer. It doesn't have to be opened in an hour. You'll notice that it's basically, looks like this. It's chia seeds up in the all the way through the mixture, and that's because they've absorbed that liquid and expanded out. So you'll also notice that you'll have room in the container now. So you can add some more of your liquid, or maybe eat a spoonful and add some more liquid, stir it around, really break things up and stir it around, stick it back in the fridge for an hour or two, overnight, really doesn't matter. So I actually had to do that twice with this batch because for some reason it just really was coming out very thick. Maybe I put in more chia than I thought I did, or maybe, as I say, it was just drier in my house, so the chia seeds were, I don't know, taking on more moisture. I really have no idea, but it almost doesn't matter. Just throw some more milk in it, stir it up some more, and you're good to go. That does mean if you were going to make this like for a dinner and you wanted that to be ready for dessert, just give yourself some extra time to make sure if you do need to liquefy it a bit more or make it less thick, that you'll want the extra time for it to set. And if you find that it's way too runny, you can throw some more chia seeds in there. Just do it little by little, because they will need some time to expand, and you don't want to then get in this game where it's too runny and then it's too thick and then it's too runny and too thick. But man, this stuff is really, really tasty. It's so healthy for you, so you can eat this anytime and not feel like you're doing something bad. But it's sweet, it's got a great vanilla taste or a really rich chocolatey taste. I've also thrown in a tablespoon of almond butter in the chocolate and the vanilla versions, and that just I don't know, it makes it even richer and just adds this really great flavor to it. It's a little bit tricky to stir that in because the chia seeds are kind of, they're kind of like jelly, and they'll slick around the almond butter, so it's kind of hard to get it to mix together well, so it really does take quite a bit of stirring, especially when you've got a thick batch like this was. But it just makes for an even better taste, and you got more protein in there, you've got good fats in there, good oils, but you're going to love it. So give it a try. Chia seed pudding, vanilla, chocolate. I've seen people do this in savory versions, so they put in like garlic and herbs like sage and rosemary. That's cool. You can certainly do that. It doesn't appeal to me, but chia seeds will work with really any kind of flavor you want to put in them. But for me, it was about making something that tastes like actual pudding. You can also do this with a fruit type pudding, or almost like a jello. So you do chia seeds and fruit juice. I personally try to avoid that amount of sugar and just pure sugar basically that juices tend to have. So for me that's not something that I typically do, but I have made it once or twice where I use a cran raspberry juice and chia seeds, same kind of ratios. I don't put anything else in it. And it makes this like cranberry raspberry jello kind of thing. Super tasty. But for me, I want to avoid the sugar and be able to eat this stuff without feeling like I just kind of went off the deep end and ate something that's not really going to help me health-wise. So chia seed pudding, give it a try. It's so easy to make. If you don't want to grind stuff up, literally you can have this made in like 2 to 3 minutes of effort. Stick it in the fridge for an hour, or just do it before you go to bed and grab it the next morning. Super simple, super tasty. Enlighten your body.